Hello and welcome back to Tammy's Antique Vintage Dolls and More, and today we're going to talk about this little gal right here. This is a doll that my grandmother gave to me back in the late 1970s. I would predict about 1978. I was about 17 years of age. She gave me this doll. It was all ratty-tat-tat, and I gave it to a lady named Pat Hunter. And she restored her for me in the best way that she knew how. And she did a good job for her day. But over time, she deteriorated again because as she was on in my room, she would start to crack. We saw cracks running through her. My mother said, just don't touch her, just leave her alone. She's old. And Pat did the best she could. So we left it at that, but the cracks just kept running up her head and down her chest plate, and I could see it happening. So I packed her away in a nice box, never put her in the cold. She just stayed in a box, dark. And I thought one day I'll get her refixed by somebody. Well, that somebody was me, and I restored her. And I think I did pretty good by her. I think my grandmother would be proud of how good of a job I did with her. But the only problem is, the lady who restored her told me she was Shirley Temple, made by the Petite American Character Company. Now the thing is though, Petite American Character Company did not make Shirley Temple. They made another doll. Now I'm not going to tell you who that doll is, but if you go back to if you don't remember this doll, on June 11th, 2017, underneath the video, Does My Husband Support My Hobby?, you'll see me introduce this doll in the worst shape she was in. And if you go back to September 27th, 2017, underneath Tammy's Antique Videos, Dolls and More, you will see my Shirley Temple, what we think is Shirley Temple, all dressed up just like this, all restored. So if you don't remember, you can go back to those. For those who do, just continue on right here. So anyways, once I realized who she was, Dodie Toe told me, she said, Tammy, that's not a Shirley Temple doll. That's another doll called I'm not going to say her name right now. Now, she does give it away in one of those videos, but I'm not going to say what video. Anyhow, you can go back if you want to. You can find out who she is, or you can just keep going here. There's going to be two parts to this. This is part one, then there'll be part two. Part one is who I thought she was, Shirley Temple. The next one will be an introductory of the new little doll that's going to go into the nursery underneath a new name. So anyways, but we got to remember one thing about it. She does look like a very good Shirley Temple, though. She made a good Shirley Temple doll. But I can see the differences of my other Shirley Temples, the ideal Shirley Temple, to this one. But we must remember also, a lot of companies out there did mimic or try to come as close as they could to Shirley Temple. Now, they couldn't say Shirley Temple on their dolls. They couldn't even mention her movies because they were all copyrighted and patented to those companies. MGM had her movies, and I think Paramount or whatever. Maybe Paramount wasn't around. I'll just say MGM. RCA had her music. Ideal had her doll. Sarsfield and Grosset, I think it was, or Sarsfield, had her books. Nanette and a few other clothing companies had her clothing that little girls could dress up in her actual dresses that she wore on movies, and some of her everyday dresses that she wore for picture taking. So there was a lot of companies involved with Shirley Temple. And those were the actual companies that had rights to her, who could make money and say Shirley Temple. But the other companies couldn't. But you know, we're coming out of the World Wars, and you know, people have been through the Depression, and you know, they're starting to spend a little bit of money. And these dolls did come available. And other dolls were cheaper. So you had to ask yourself, what could I afford for my daughter, who was probably bouncing around saying, I want a Shirley Temple doll. Some could only afford a knockoff or something close to it. And others could afford the actual thing, the actual ideal doll. So the thing is that whatever the case may be, other companies and the true company, Ideal, made money from this little girl. And so as much as she looks like Shirley Temple, she's not. So in my next video, we're going to introduce to you who she really is. So stay tuned, hang in there, another part 2 video is coming. Bye-bye.